Hi there. Thanks for joining CPG Bytes, a series of short video segments from Treasure Data, where we chat about the latest news and industry trends and read between the lines to provide our perspective and insights. So David, my friend, what do you have for us this week?
Hey, Stephen, how you doing today?
Doing fantastic.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I actually have two articles that I thought would be interesting to talk about. This first one was in Consumer Goods Technology just recently, actually just yesterday, talking about PepsiCo's use of data, and the title's pretty catchy, right? To predict the future. Wouldn't that be great? But honestly, there are some examples of where they are using data to predict consumer behavior and predict quote unquote the future. But the two things that I thought were worth bringing out of this article was the first. If I scroll down here, one of the key pieces, kind of the PepsiCo strategy, they talk about democratizing data. And this is all about making sure that data is accessible and shareable, not only within an organization, but across the organization. I mean, if you think about the consumer packaged goods industry, it's a team sport, right? There's really three players. There's the manufacturers, there's the retailers, and then there's the consumers, right?
Mhm.
And so being able to share that data across the industry, across that value chain is really, really important. And this is where I think it becomes critical for companies to think about a data platform. Obviously as Treasure Data, we have a customer data platform, but it's not just self-serving for us to say that. You really do need to have a platform to be able to manage this data, manage the security, manage data privacy, being able to add value and enrich that data, be able to share that data. Totally requires a platform. So I think that's an important piece. And then the second thing that I thought was interesting is up right above this democratizing data section of the article. They talk about their point of view, and that is, this I think is very optimistic in a positive way. This is a glass is half full point of view, and that is PepsiCo believes that consumers are becoming much more aware of how their data is being used by brands and by marketers, right? And they look at that as a positive in that the consumers are willing to share that information if they get some benefit out of it. And I fully support that viewpoint, right? That I feel like if you trust a brand in just like you do in human interactions, right? You're willing to share information with those people and or brands that you trust. And if the brands can then use that information and that data to provide a benefit back to you, whether it's a personalized content, some kind of special offer, maybe some sort of personalized product, whatever, something that adds value to me and what motivates me, I think consumers are willing to share that information as long as there's that trust. And have that trust, you have to be able to earn it and be able to make sure that you're transparent and manage the data and the data privacy that the consumers want kind of, at their level. So those are kind of the couple things that they took away from this article. The other thing that I thought was interesting was CGT just recently had their Analytics Unite conference, and they had a panel discussion with Forrester and David's Bridal and a couple other companies. But this is what was interesting about the importance of getting personalization right. And actually, as you know, I'm writing a blog about this topic, about how important personalization is and why I'm a big believer in it. But what I thought was interesting down here was the fact that 89% of companies and digital executives say we're doing personalization, but only 40% of consumers say that communications they get from companies are relative to my taste and interest. So there's this huge gap between what companies think they're doing and the way consumers are perceiving it. And I just view that as an opportunity. If you're a brand, closing that gap is a way to differentiate yourself, right? And it all gets back to having that data, that consumer understanding, that single customer view that you would have within a CDP or a customer data platform.
No, that is so true. And I really kind of going back to your PepsiCo article, I really like the idea of democratizing your data. As data becomes more valuable, in my mind, it shouldn't be kept in an ivory towered silos. That's only available to the elite few, right? This should really be made available across the ecosystem. So your marketing team, your sales team, product team, and even your distribution knows what to do in certain circumstances to specific consumers. But also at the same time, you want to keep that integrity of the data intact with privacy and security measures like what PepsiCo was mentioning, so that consumers can feel confident that their information is being handled properly by you, the leading CPG brands, and that the personal information will not be leaked out into the world, but really will be used in a way that can be personalized, can be beneficial to them, so that you'll be able to communicate it in the fashion that you want, with the information that you're looking for at the time that you're looking for it. So it all ties together. All the different points that you brought up today, it really kind of goes in a very smooth transition from the beginning to the end.
Yeah, and I just think it's really interesting. I feel like there's almost like two camps right now, right? I think there's a camp around, personalization is too hard, right? It's going to be too difficult to ensure data privacy. It's too difficult to manage the data at scale. It's too difficult to deal with data security. It's too difficult for a CPG company to get first party data, right? And then I think there's the other camp that says, well, wait a second, the technology is there to manage the security, to manage the privacy, to handle the data at scale. The trick just becomes being able to provide some sort of a value proposition to the consumer to get them to provide that data, right?
Right.
And then have the trust that you'll manage that appropriately. And I think the kind of the pivot point here that happened because of COVID was this move to direct to consumer, right? I feel like now CPG companies have the strategy through DTC. True, it's a sales channel, but as you and I talked before, it's really a data collection channel. I don't mean that in a nefarious way, right? It's not about collecting data to be all creepy. It's about collecting data so you can have a more personalized and relevant relationship and build that brand trust with those consumers. So I don't know. I think it's an exciting time, right, to be a marketer in the CPG space, just because I just think we're at this transformational, point here. Who knows what it's going to look like in a couple, 3 years.
And I think that the key takeaway from what you just said is that it's only difficult if you don't have the right tools to do it, right? I know I'm building a cabinet, and if I don't have the right screwdriver, it makes that task so difficult. But if you look at the data pools that you have, or the data lakes, it looks massive. It looks too big to be able to be consumed. But with the right tools, you'll be able to personalize. You'll be able to communicate. You'll be able to engage at the right moment with the right person. And I think that's really why we kept talking about having the right tool. It just helps you that so much more with what you have.
Exactly.
So thank you, David, for the insights into kind of democratizing the data, and also thank you for joining us. If you are interested in kind of viewing more, we do come up with the CPG Bytes video every couple of weeks. So for more videos similar to the topics like today, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. And don't forget to turn on the bell for all notifications. Come on back to see David's vlogs. And also, we're going to be back in 2 weeks with more topics for CPG Bytes. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye. Thanks.